Time's up. Let's do this.
Alright, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We're now back into the second round of the SEA series for the BlizzCon Community Qualifier for Philippines. I'm Babael. Joining me today is Katips. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Welcome. Good afternoon, everybody, from sunny Manila. It is another Saturday of Hearthstone, and we are now playing my countrymen's games for the BlizzCon qualifier. So up next, we have Staz, one of the local top players, competitive players, versus TheSandman on stream right now. We are going to have Rogue versus Druid. So from the opening hand of Staz, I'm already guessing Miracle. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking this definitely has to be Miracle. There's no doubt about this one here. The only question is, does it have Lothab inside?
So Lothab also working pretty well for Rogue, not just against it. So if this might be the new Miracoli with the Lothab. Let's see if Sandman has enough defense, enough taunts, or even just a faster deck than Miracle Rogue, and this should be an interesting matchup. I think this is a pretty even matchup right now, depending on the type of Druid deck it is.
Yeah, well, it is a pretty interesting Druid deck. We're now looking at Savage Roar in the hand there with Big Game Hunter, as well as Ancient of Lore, and a Harvest Golem plus a Wrath. So he does have some good answers in the early game, as well as Big Game Hunter for the late game. But I doubt that, the moment you see Rogue and Big Game Hunter, I'm actually kind of surprised they got Big Game Hunter there. I'm not sure if he actually kept it from Mulligan. I think he didn't, but he actually came back up, and that's a little bit sad. Meanwhile, a really big gray thing just appeared there. Okay, it's gone. A Lawal gray monster.
So just to point out also, Staz has already one of his auctioneers in hand, so that is going to come in very handy for the mid game when he starts pulling off. He also has a nice preparation. He also has the coin, so he has so he draws in his second Gadget Stand auctioneer. He's going to have a nice option to draw into his combo. All he needs pretty much right now is Leroy. He has already Van Cleef for the mid game. He already has both of his auctioneers, so unless Sandman has either a faster deck that can take out Staz faster, or if he doesn't have enough defense, if he doesn't have enough taunts, then Staz is already, he already has half of his combo in his hand, so that should be pretty good.
Yeah, that should be pretty good indeed. So here we go, Staz versus Sandman, and that's a 6/6 Edwin Van Cleef right there on the board. And looking at Sandman, doesn't really have any answers. It's really so nicely away from the range of the Big Game Hunter, so Staz played it fantastically well. I like that a lot. He can actually go for, I don't know, maybe Wrath here. It will not kill Edwin Van Cleef. He doesn't have the mechanic. We will not see Sandman blow off Savage Roar just like Schizo did.
So I'm not sure if Staz was aware that he should be watching out for Big Game Hunter, but it is nice that he brought up Edwin Van Cleef up to 6/6. And Druid, of course, having a little bit of difficulty with single target removal. He has very few options. He just has Wrath from time to time. He has maybe Black Knight. Sometimes he has the option for Big Game Hunter. And Swipe is generally the only big removal that in the player's options as a Druid, unless you run something like Naturalize, which is always favorable for your opponent. So Staz is gonna take out the Yeti with his SI7 agent, and he's gonna open up options to leave Edwin Van Cleef at 6/6, and he's gonna take 6 off of Sandman right now. So that brings down Sandman to 25. With no defenses yet, and a 6/6 and a 3/3 on the board of Staz.
Yeah, I think he made a pretty good decision there, opting to go for the backstab onto the Yeti there just to pick it off, because it's a 4/5 along with Savage Roar is gonna be enough to kill it, even with Wrath. But right now he does have full absolute board control, and Sandman doesn't really have any minion there, and Druid, they don't really have anything that could really kill one big minion. They have Naturalize, but they don't really run it. And right. Sandman, he does have Swipe with Wrath, but he doesn't have Swipe in hand just yet. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping he runs 2 Swipe.
Yeah. So Staz, of course, turn 5. If he draws into Preparation, if he draws into Conceal, that's pretty good for him. He also has the coin to activate his Auctioneer to try and keep on drawing into his combo. So let's see. He does have nice board control. Sandman gonna be forced to waste a lot of cards on a 6/6 and a 3/3. As we mentioned, it's hard for Druid to take out single targets. They generally want to wait until they get Swipe before they start taking out minions. Generally going for more favorable or better matchups for minion against minion. But right now he's gonna use one of his rats against SI7 agent. That's gonna leave Van Cleef with a 6/6. Still very large. It's now Staz's turn. And he has now the option to draw into maybe another card and then coin to his hero power. But let's see.
Okay, he definitely don't want to play the Gadget-san here without conceal, without a real way to keep Gadget-san alive. He's gonna play Gnomish Inventor, and he's actually it's a fantastic card, and he gets Deadly Poison as well, so that really is gonna help him with the combo next turn. But even then, he needs conceal. He needs something that could at least make sure that this Gadget-san Auctioneer can survive. He can run the 6/6 here into Sandman, and that's gonna make the Druid down to just about 19 health, and we can foresee for sure that he doesn't have Rough because he used it already, so he might just run Savage Roar. I actually don't like the fact he used Rough in the previous turn. I thought that, as long as you have a minion there, Roughing would be a lot easier to kill off the 6/6, which ultimately is the cause of his main problem here so far.
Yeah, that 6/6 is going to be a problem for a very long time for Sandman. Until he gets some decent removal, he really should be hoping, praying to the RNG gods that he draws into some swipe, into some sort of removal. Maybe a bigger taunt, maybe if you can have a Druid of the Claw to slow it down a little bit. But 6/6, a really, really big problem for the Sandman right now. And Staz has all of the options at his disposal. He can play Gadgetzan Auctioneer into Deadly Poison. He can start playing Fan of Knives to draw. And with two of them in hand, that gives him a lot of options. So that's still a 4/4 body on the board in the form of the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. And with Van Cleef still wreaking havoc at a 6/6, it's going to be problematic for Sandman to try and recover from the 6/6 on the board, as well as deal with a Gadgetzan Auctioneer for the mid game.
Alright, so we're now looking at, Sandman really just taking his time to decide what he wants to do here. Setting up the taunt is actually pretty good. Considering the fact that we have Vision of Staz, and Staz really doesn't have anything there that can really answer this 2/3.
Yeah, that's right. So that'll bring down Van Cleef to 6/4, leaving him with a damaged golem. Let's see what Sandman else is still gonna play. Okay, so he's gonna set up the taunt. Oh, he's gonna go for a 4/4 and take out Van Cleef right away. Okay, that's not really a favorable trade, but what do you really do as a druid? Really not very many options, as we've been saying. Okay, Auctioneer, I think into Deadly Poison could be good. And then use a 2/4 to take out the damaged golem.
Oh, he's just not getting the draws that he won right now.
Yeah. Some conceal would be nice, even preparation. Not very many minions on the side of Sandman to justify using Fan of Knives just yet, even though it does give a card draw. So that's still a 4/4 and a 2/2 on the side of Staz, and Sandman with still no defense on his side and down to 16 health. He needs to start putting up some defense because he knows that now that Gadgetzan Auctioneer is on the board, it's only a matter of time before Staz can join his combo. And yeah, so Sandman really thinking about his options. How's his hand looking at it at the moment?
His hand's looking pretty okay with the Savage Roar there that's actually going to kill the Gadgetzan. So that's a top deck there for Sandman. Pretty good stuff. It's also going to clear the board for him. And for Staz, I think he really is slowly running out of steam. He doesn't have to conceal yet. He needs to find that.
Yep, that's right. So I think that's a pretty good use of Sandman for the Force of Nature. Despite Staz having another Auctioneer in hand, I think that was his best option just to stop the bleeding. So if he drops down to about 12 health, that's going to be very dangerous. That's just a Leroy into Shadow Step into Leroy away from losing. So right now, Staz is just going to put down a couple of 3/3s in the form of the Farseer and the SI7 agent. Sandman still has no presence on the board. He does have 5 cards in hand. He just uses Force of Nature. And if he doesn't put up some sort of defense or some sort of good removal at the moment, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, well, he does have the Ancient of Lore. That's actually going to help him heal up for 5 here. But that's not what you want to do with your first Ancient of Lore. Normally you want to draw cards with the first Ancient of Lore, and effectively with the second one you might want to consider healing up here. But for him, well, he does have 8 mana, is that right? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So no real combo whatsoever?
So yeah, so he's probably torn right now, knowing that this is a Miracle Rogue, and at any moment Leroy can just burst into the scene and create some damage. And Staz, as you mentioned earlier, he has drawn into Loatheb, and that's going to be a bit of a problem, especially for a druid that relies on the Savage Roar to Force of Nature combo. It's going to be impossible if that Loatheb comes out at the exact right time. It's just not going to be enough mana to have that sort of finish. So Sandman needs to put up some sort of defense, maybe draw into some cards and gamble his health at the moment, which is at 14, and draw some cards. Okay, so if he does choose to heal up...
Painful decision there, but I like that. Okay,
Yeah.
shift. So here what Staz is going to do really is that he knows that Sandman's going into the perfect turn 9 next turn. He's at 26 health. With the 5 damage there, I think it's only going to deal 7 plus 14. It's only going to be 21 damage, so he's not worried about the Savage War Force of Nature combo still, so he will not play lower Thap here. I'm actually kind of surprised he decides not to drop the Gadget Sun, probably because he knows he doesn't really have a real solid way of keeping it alive. He's actually going to try and kill the 5-4 right now. And he gets Blade Flurry.
Oh, that's pretty good. Probably better to sacrifice one of his 3/3s. Okay, he's going to send Farseer to kill off the Ancient
He's also
of
going to heal
Lore.
up.
And maybe heal up for himself, bringing him up to 29. And a very good position. He still has 2 3/3s on the board. And Sandman now on the verge. That is 16. And Staz is just moments away from drawing into his Leroy combo. So yeah, it's just a waiting game. Basically, Sandman is now on a timer. If he isn't able to put down any sort of defense, if he isn't able to put down any sort of board presence, that's just a walk in the park for Miracle, pretty much.
He just stopped that Khan Bloodhoof there. There's a lot of things that Kane can do here. Effectively, I would like to see, Kane survive a little bit longer, but I don't see how that's actually going to be possible. He's actually going for a bit of an answer here, just to kill off the SI agent. He's also going to take a bit of a damage, but Sandman is just gambling so hard right now. He doesn't know if Staz already has the Leroy Jenkins Shadow Step combo, and if he does have that, it's game. He's also going to play Big Game Hunter because really Big Game Hunter doesn't do anything at all against Staz, and Staz gets a top deck step here.
Yeah, so this could be potentially nice value from Blade Flurry. He can attack the 3/3 into the 2/4 and get a Blade Flurry to clear out the board.
Yeah.
Yep, so he's going to draw off of that.
Wow, preparation as well. Okay, unfortunately, he didn't sap first, but that's fine. I would have actually thought that sap would be a little bit better, but now if you use prep and sap, that's going to be extra 2 damage from that. You don't want that to happen. Blood Mage Dalnos, no answers whatsoever. Hero Power just to kill the 2/1. There's no way he's going to sap, even though it's free. Because that's a Keeper of the Grove, and that can silence the 4/4. It's complete disastrous.
Staz was trying to fish for his Leroy. That just didn't work out.
Yeah, or maybe just another spell that, could work here. And here comes the Force of Nature for Sandman. Unfortunately, Staz is at 27 health, and there's no way he could probably do anything there. He's just going to Wild Growth. And effectively, that's going to draw 1 card for 2 mana, with excess mana as well. Let's see what he gets here. So, Force of Nature, Savage Rock combo, and he gets Innervate. Oh, wow. Wow, this is just not working out for Sandman.
Yeah, the ramp cards that he needed didn't come out in the early game when it would be most effective for a Druid. They're now coming out in the late game where they're useless, especially against Miracle Rogue.
He's got right now, he's dead.
Oh, no.
Well, effectively, we're going to be looking at 1 damage there on Staz Dagger. He needs to armor up just to survive. So he's just going to Hero Power, attack face, and hope to God that Staz doesn't get something like an SI agent or even a shift.
Yep.
Oh, it gets concealed.
Staz gets concealed. Okay.
He's just gonna dig right now. Oh, Assassin's Blade. That's game. Sap there. With Gadget Sun, we'll draw the Assassin's Blade. Okay. So, Staz will win the first game. Not really very miracle style. I think it's really due to the credits of Edwin Van Cleef and the fact that Sandman didn't really have an answer for that. So, what do you think about this series?
Yeah, so as you said, Edwin Van Cleef was crucial there in the early game. Unstoppable 6/6 right out of Big Game Hunter range. And just out of the reach of the removals of Druid. Unless you run Naturalize, it's really hard to take out big targets early on like that. Like maybe a big Van Cleef or a King Mukula. It's really hard for Druid to take out those kinds of minions because of the single target damage. Generally, Druid want to get value off of trades from minions. And without any board presence for like 7 turns on the side of the Sandman, then it was really just a time bomb for Staz to just explode. Even without the Leroy combo, Van Cleef did his work, and yeah, that got him the game.
Yeah, you're right. So now we're going into the second game here with a Miracle Rogue versus a potential coin flip situation. Is that still going to be Miracle Rogue? Let me see that. Hand Mulligan will tell it all. What's it going to be? Okay, this with the Web Lord. Interesting. Still looks like a rogue to me. Miracle Rogue to me.
Could be a new variation of the Backspace Rogue, which is more of a tempo-based, aggro-based rogue. If we see a pirate, then we can confirm that. But at the moment, I think the crucial card here, I think it was a smart decision for Staz to keep Lotheb. Given the number of spells that rogues run, I think Lotheb coming in at the right time is going to be very crucial.
Yeah, alright, so Leroy here for Staz. He doesn't have anything at all in the early game. And the Argent Squire, that is no Miracle Rogue.
Yeah, that's more of the backspace or the tempo variant. So let's see if it's enough to overwhelm Staz in this early game. Enough for... right now, Staz has no options for the early game. If Sandman can capitalize on that and get a lot of value from his minions, a lot of damage in these first 4 or 5 turns, then that could snowball into a win for him. So let's see what he chooses to play for the next few rounds.
Alright, so that's it. We now have a potential tempo situation here for Sandman. Also do note that Leroy Jenkins, Lotheb, all because they have Battle Cry, will have the cost increased by 2. It's not a lot of a difference here, if you ask me, for Leroy and Lotheb. But it's... And it doesn't even affect SI Agent, so I don't think the Weblot's going to do much of anything here.
Yep, but that is still 1-4. If Sandman can keep it up and maybe, you know, keep him alive for as long as possible and just stop the minions from Battle Cry for Staz. But like you said, not very many Battle Cry minions on the side of a rogue. It's very few. You get something like... Oh, this is very new. I've never seen this kind of deck before. Deathlord coming in. So Deathlord could potentially pull down either Lotheb... Oh, sorry, it's going to be from the deck. Okay. So Staz is a little bit safe getting his minions pulled out at the inopportune times.
Or if he pulls out Edwin Van Cleef, that's just going to be a 2-2 right there.
Yep. Or if we can pull out a Gadgets and Auctioneer and have it at the right time to be able to get eviscerated or some cheap removal, that would be good also.
Well, I think it's actually kind of possible. Really, now Staz is in a bad shape. You know, 2-8 is a nightmare for Staz.
It is.
We are now looking at a Miracle Rogue who inherently has got a lot of trouble dealing with taunts. They rely on stuff like big stuff like probably a Daily Poison on a dagger, Blade Flurry just to deal 6 damage and negate some of those damage, also Shift there, and I think he's actually going to pull off the combo, but without the Blade Flurry there is still no bot wife. He's also going to blow Eviscerate. Look at the amount of spells he needs just to kill that, and he gets an Earthering Farseer. That's going to deny him of the heal, even though it's free.
That's a lot of value for the side of Sandman. As you said, that is a lot of spells used against the Deathlord, and not getting the benefit off the Farseer. As you said, taunts are a big problem for Miracle. 3-8 is gigantic. I mean, sorry, 2-8 is pretty big. That could have been a problem for later on. And yeah, Sandman in a pretty good position right now. Not exactly, you know, he still has a little bit of board control. He's going to go for Deadly Poison to clear the Farseer, so that's not going to do anything at all. And still having the Weblord in play. Staz could have used a sap in that last turn. He would have probably killed for a sap. But at the moment, now he has to deal with a Weblord. He's getting preparations with no spells, and he's not getting any minions, so he's going to try and chip away at that Weblord. Let's see if Sandman can keep up the tempo and get as much damage in as possible. Maybe drop stats to maybe around 15 and put more minions on the board. Another Deathlord would be nice, really.
Yeah,
Since
it will
Staz,
really be nice.
Yeah, that would just screw up Staz so much because he wouldn't have any sort of defense. So he's going to coin into 6 mana. And let's see what he drops. Okay, he's going to activate his Argent Squire and his Weblord. 2-2 and Divine Shield, not very good for Staz. He's going to be forced to... He needs like something like a Blade Flurry or a Fan of Knives at the moment to start clearing these out. But at the moment, really not getting the spells that he needs. He's not getting into his backstabs. He's not getting into his eviscerates. Oh man, I'm thinking he's just gonna put down Thalmos just to draw out something.
There is no miracle for this rogue right now. There is nothing at all that's going for him. He is completely slow. He doesn't even have to catch his sun just yet. This is one of the rare moments. Okay, maybe not rare, but one of the moments of a miracle rogue wondering where is the 404 not found Gadget-san.
Yeah. No Gadget Sand, no removal spells. Staz staring down at his miracle, asking himself, 404, where is the miracle? I can't find it. And the Weblord, surprisingly the MVP of this match, still alive after some damage. Here comes card draw for Sandman. And Okay, so
Okay.
oh my gosh, Battle Cry.
Gnomish for 6, yeah, okay. No value for Gnomish Inventor here, but he still needs to play that. And here comes the Gadget Sand Auctioneer! But what's he gonna do against a full board? He doesn't really have an option to go play Preparation, and here comes Ten of Knives. That's gonna deal some extra damage. He needs... Oh, he needs to be very careful though. If he had Talnos, it would be a lot better. Second Shadow Step as well. He should know he needs to kill that irritating Weblord right now. And he's also gonna play... Oh, and here comes Edwin Van Cleave, so probably Salvation is at hand here. He's also going to sap the 2-2. He's also going to have to run the dagger into the 2-1. It's lagging, apparently, so the sap's not coming to effect. Oh my god, is it going to go through? Yes, it will. And he's also going to run the dagger into the 2-1. That's going to kill it. Oh my god, this is really good draw there for him. The Gadget Sand Auctioneer barely saved the day, but still we are looking at him at 12 health right now with an exposed Gadget Sand.
Yeah, so that was a very fortunate, like you said, very fortunate draw into Gadget Sand Auctioneer. That was a really nice top deck for Staz. But still, the control is in Sandman's favor. He can just start removing with an open Gadget Sand Auctioneer. It is very prone to getting removed. Let's see if he's going to take it out and keep the pressure up. Let's make a note. Staz is down to 12 health, and he is on the verge himself. So if Sandman runs Leroy in this deck, maybe a Shadow Step also could potentially end this very, very soon. So he chooses to go for face, dropping Staz down to 8, and gonna go for Eviscerate to the face. Does he have another one to finish it? He does, and that is the game for Sandman. That is 1-1.
Yeah, that levels the series there. Really nice plays there by Sandman. Good stuff. The Weblot had a pretty calming effect, if you ask me. It's not really being, just there. It didn't really prevent anything except for the Gnomish Inventor there. But even then, it wasn't really, put to good use. But still, it survived pretty long, and it actually made, Sandman think that that's a pretty good or rather effective tag. But I feel that it's not really the case, seeing how there was minimal effect. Weblord really just stops stuff like Gnomish Inventor for draw. It stops stuff like Othering Fasir for heal. But that's about it, right?
Yeah, but yeah, we can talk about how bad Weblord is all we want, but in that particular game, it pretty much cost. I mean, added to the fact that Staz had a really, really bad draw. He had no early game whatsoever. He could not draw into any of his removal spells, and that Weblord just ran rampant pretty much and gave Sandman a chance to build up his forces and have enough to finish Staz towards the end. So that was pretty good. So Staz going to be reverting now to a handlock. I think it's pretty good if Sandman had switched to a Miracle Rogue. And even if it's going to be a Tempo Rogue, Staz drawing into a nice early game for the handlock. So he can choose to either activate Ancient Watcher with Sun Fury Protector, or he can choose to activate it as an offensive threat with Owl. So lots of options for him in the first 3 turns.
Yep, a lot of option there indeed. So now what I'm actually looking at is Staz being here against Sandman. This is a 1-1 situation. It's a BO3, so whoever wins this game will win this series. And let's go. So handlock up against that of the Miracle Rogue. Oh, sorry,
Okay,
is it
so
Miracle? Yeah, it is Miracle Rogue.
Oh, so Sandman changed into a Miracle Rogue deck?
Yeah, with Gadget Sun, it has to be Miracle Rogue. There is no doubt. And finally, Mountain Giant comes out here. Pretty good stuff for Staz.
Okay, Staz gonna risk, despite having the Ancient Watcher and combo into Sun Fury, combo into Owl, he's gonna keep on tapping. I think he wants to bring down a threat as fast as possible and start taunting things up. So that's gonna be turn 3. Not quite enough yet for Mountain Giant. That's gonna come out next turn, and he's gonna be choosing to put down the Ancient Watcher. Now that Sandman has made his first play, I think Staz is gonna start putting down some sort of defense. He's gonna be able to put down the Mountain Giant next turn. Not gonna have enough to activate both of them for taunt, but let's see. Okay, Sandman, I'm not sure why Fan of Knives was played just then.
Yeah, well, no idea at all. That in my opinion is a complete waste. Probably just want to draw some cards. That's the only explanation I can find. He does have double sap though.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have... Okay, he does have preparation. He can run Gadgets on into preparation, into sap, and that's going to make sure that the 8-8 goes away. But that's also going to mean that his 4/4 is going to be exposed, and stuff like an Iron Big Owl is going to silence it. That's exactly in the hand of Staz. It does have two of those, or even a Soulfire.
No Shadow Flame yet for Staz.
Oh wow, he's going to backstab that. Is he going
he
to
does
kill
have
the
a Shadow.
giant?
Wow. Okay.
Why does it backstab something he's going to sap?
Maybe he's not gonna. Maybe he's trying to fish for a.
Maybe he's not going to sap. You're right. Maybe he's just not going to sap. He does have Shadow Stab there, but he's hovering over sap. There we go. Okay, that's a mistake.
That sequence of card plays by Sandman is highly inefficient.
Highly inefficient indeed.
So, wow, okay. So Staz is now gonna have the option to play Mountain Giant for 3 and activate it with Sunfear Protector. So that sap was pretty much a waste.
Yeah. Well, okay, right now, I'm also a little surprised he didn't Shadow Step back to catch his hand. Now, there's always stuff like, Coin Siphon Soul. It's a little bit dramatic, I know, but even then, stuff like Shadow Flame, yes, that's also gonna kill stuff. And effectively, he could have killed the 4/4, right, with the backstab as well. Okay, he can't backstab that because that's already injured, that's why. And he wants to draw a card.
How I would have played that would be to play my Mountain Giant for 3 and then silence my 4/4 to kill the Auctioneer. Just so I have a body on the board for Sandman to be worried about, and maybe modifies plays a little bit because a few more damage and Staz is going to be able to play Molten Giants for quite cheaply. Okay, so here comes Mountain Giant now again, I think. Activating it with Sun Fury would be a good choice. Always good against something like Miracle. But I don't think this is actually Miracle.
I don't know, man. It looks like it looks miracle-ish to me. There is also Shadow Stab, Eviscerate, Lower Thap, and Deadly Poison. It falls pretty well into the Miracle range with Gadgets and Auctioneer as well.
Yeah. Okay, so Loathab's gonna come out. Not really gonna be effective for Warlock. For Handlock, because they're very selective with their spells. They come out at very opportune times. Something like a Shadow Flame or a Hellfire. Even a Power Overwhelming is not going to be affected by that so much. And right now,
I think it's not more of the battle cry. It's more of the fact he doesn't have anything else he could play in that turn.
Yeah.
He's got so much spells. He's got Blemish Stalnos. He doesn't have anything at all. He needed Gadgetzan to stay alive, but he didn't want to Shadow Step that back. Shadow Step would have reduced the cost by 2 and made Gadgetzan into a 3-drop, which is very effective.
Yep. So now he's just going to activate his Mountain Giant, leaving an 8/8 with Taunt. Unless Sandman, definitely he has to start thinking about sapping this. But that's just one of many, many threats right now in the hand of Staz. So we know that he has 2 Molten Giants in hand. He does have Power Overwhelming, and if that gets sapped, that's still another 8/8 that's going to be coming for a future turn. So, okay, so he's going to choose to draw. I hope Staz is paying attention and knows that these kinds of desperation plays could be telling him that Sandman doesn't have very many options.
Yeah.
So Loatheb coming out in that weird turn should tell him something. Random Shiv should be telling him something also.
Yeah,
it's
he's
pretty
just
good.
Drawing so desperately that his opponent now can figure out that clearly he doesn't have the full combo. No Leroy whatsoever, but he's down to 8 health, and that's very worrisome for him.
Yeah, but that also means free Molten Giants right now. He can activate both of them with... That's gonna drop him to 5. Okay, free Molten Giants into a activation of Taunts into Farseer is gonna give him a little bit of breathing room.
Okay, he burns Mortal Coil, which is okay.
Yeah.
Here you play Mountain Giant, Molten Giant.
Why Mountain?
Tap up, yeah, why not? You have enough mana for everything. You have enough mana to play the taunt, you have enough mana to heal up yourself. You don't have to... Yeah, you have enough mana, so why not? Why not run an extra 8/8 there? You know he's ran both of his sap already, and he doesn't have any more saps left. That's 2 Molten Giants there with taunts up, the granddads of this game, standing there tall and firm, saying, "No sir, you shall not pass."
I think this is over for Sandman. He's already used one of his...
He's gonna Eviscerate there for 5. Yes, the top deck Eviscerate. Oh my god. Wow, what a game for Sandman to take. It's a top deck Eviscerate. Oh my god.
And Staz goes down 1-2 against Sandman. What an upset. I was not expecting that. Double eviscerate both end
Holy
games.
cow. Yeah, and he healed up that turn. It's there's nothing he could have done. Thalnos there was the BM. It's like, you know what, I need to play something. Yeah, and he plays Thalnos first. He could have Shadow Step, lower Thab, but he plays Thalnos just to deal 10 damage. You know, it's really something no one expects going into a series like that. You have Mountain Giant, you have
Wow.
Molten Giant, you even healed up to 8, you were like, yeah, I'm gonna take this game from you, son. And the next thing you know, you get slapped twice across the face by Eviscerate, dealing for 5 each, top deck style. You gotta be kidding me.
That's gotta hurt for Staz. I mean, he played pretty much perfectly, and there were misplays on the side of Sandman. He was doing some random excessive use of cards. He didn't have to use some of his cards. But, you know, that came back to be a benefit. He top-decked into Eviscerate, he top-decked into Blood Mage Thalnos, and that ended up giving him the win, despite more or less a perfect play from Staz. He even, like he said, he even healed up himself, managed to put an entire board that would have killed Sandman next turn. But man, that is a heartbreaker right at the very end. Double eviscerate, both games in a row from Sandman. Wow,
You gotta be kidding me.
that's ridiculous.
If you have to go out like that, you definitely will not be happy about it. This is just one of the many ways that it proves that RNG really is a skill here. You don't need good skill to play Hearthstone. You need
this is
substantial
why-
skill, but
This
then
is
again,
why I don't like Rogue.
you have to realize the reason why he got Eviscerate was because he played the Fan of Knives a little earlier. He was
also
desperate for
the-
draws, and he
also-
got it.
Yeah, and also the shiv towards the end, that weird shiv towards the face, and
Also-
that one damage was crucial. That was enough.
Exactly, and also he did stuff like a backstab into a mountain giant that he sapped away. So he was digging for cards till the very end. You cannot say it's yeah, this guy just misplayed his whole game. No, he was digging for cards because he knows he's gonna try so hard to get either Leroy, or he's gonna try so hard to deal damage to face and effectively go through that. Because he sapped stuff, because he played weird plays, he was able to draw a little bit more cards, and just nice at the time he needed it, the second Eviscerate came up. It's all part of the plan.
That's one for the books. 1 point for the column that says RNG. -1 for the one that says skill. So
But he was really digging through his deck, and that's something
Yes.
that I think is a factor
That has
to
to be
his
mentioned.
success. Yeah, but I don't think it's the right way to dig through your deck. You're not playing very efficiently, but who cares, right? As long as you get all your cards that you need at the end of the day in the right order.
a
No one
win is a
cares.
win. I mean, you can talk about RNG all you want, but he did do a sequence exactly right. It has to be stated that even though some of those plays weren't the most efficient, even though some of those plays seemed out of place, it did manage to get him into a point where his damage was enough. He drew exactly into the right cards that he needed when he needed them, and it was enough to clutch that win away from Staz. So what an upset from the Sandman. Well played.
Yeah. So the next round is effectively going to start at about 2:45 p.m. I'm checking on the stats right now. We'll be back in just about 5 to 10 minutes, plus minus a little bit. More communication is going to be relied on through the Twitch chat. So we'll see you guys there, and we'll talk to you again. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed that cast. This is Babael. With me is Katips.